So here's the barrels that I shot last weekend at 200 yards in Ruidoso. The first segment here is the P-09, and this is kind of an old barrel. This thing's been around for a while, but still shoots well. You can see that the barrel's pitted. They're small pits. They look big here, but makes it where it doesn't clean up quite as easily as it did when it was new, I suppose, but you can still take a brush to it and knock the rest of the carbon out pretty easily. So on the left is just after a little solvent clean and a few patches just to get the loose stuff out to make sure I don't damage my little borescope. And then on the right, I've used a nylon brush with a patch on it soaked in the Hoppy's copper solvent, and run it back and forth for just a few minutes. And then I took a VFG pellet and ran it through there, probably 20-30 strokes, and then ran a couple of clean patches through it, and then run the borescope through it. For the primary machine barrel on the left, I did the same thing as I did with the P-09 barrel. Light solvent clean on the left, and you can see I still left a lot of carbon in them. The carbon's very, very thin, but it is still there. And then on the right, you're seeing what the barrel looks like after some vigorous nylon brush with the copper solvent, and then a few passes with the VFG pellet. What you can see is that nearly all the carbon is out, but not quite. There's still some carbon there. Now, mind you, this barrel shot really, really well the way it was on the left. So the way it is now on the right is just getting it back to where it was when I first showed up in Ruidoso, which was probably as clean as it is now on the right. So the point is that you really have to use a brush or a pellet or something to get that carbon loose. I think I may have had that copper solvent in here, and I don't know how effective it is against the carbon, but I think I soaked it overnight and then cleaned them this morning. The CZ97, same thing. Old barrel, lots of rounds through it. It is very smooth though from the factory, so it's a lot easier to clean than the original P-09 barrel after it got pitted. And you can see on the right that it cleaned up really well. And I didn't even use a VFG pellet in these. I just used a nylon brush and some solvent and then some dry patches after that. But it's still pretty good. I may have to go back. I may go back in and try to get a little more of the carbon out of it. Is what I'll probably do. But don't want to mess with it too much after a 5.5-inch group at 200 yards.